Hello and welcome to yet another instructional video on pig farming. My name is Victor Eyo and we'll be discussing early disease detection in a pig farm. It is important as a pig farmer to be able to detect incidents of disease in your farm whenever they occur. So in this course we'll be going through ways in which the farmer can easily detect diseases in your farm. So the agenda of this course, the introductory part will focus on explaining what the importance is of early disease detection in a piggery farm, and then we'll look at 3 strategies for disease detection in the pig farm. The first strategy is the visual strategies for disease detection in the pig farm. We'll look at the tactile strategy for disease detection in the pig farm. We'll also look at the auditory strategy for disease detection in the pig farm, and then we'll conclude by going over some recommendations. So it is important for you to subscribe to this YouTube channel and then turn on your notifications so that anytime any instructional video drops on this channel, you would get instantly notified. Alright, so let's quickly hop into the meat of the lesson. So, what is the importance of early disease detection on the pig farm? So, there are 3 critical areas or 3 critical points that make it important for you to be able to detect disease early on in your farm. The first, of course, is that it enhances treatment success and efficacy. So, when you are able to detect incidents of sickness in your farm early on, it is easier for you to treat these sicknesses, and then you actually have score a high point in terms of whether you'll be able to treat the sickness properly. But if you detect disease later on, okay, it might get to a point where no matter the kind of treatment administered to the pig, it might end up in mortality. So early disease detection in the pig farm is important because it will enhance treatment success and efficacy. And then secondly, it will also prevent outbreak within the herd. So if within your farm, you don't detect disease on time, the tendency of the disease, if it is a viral nature, the tendency of it spreading within the herd is high. But if you are able to detect it early on, you'll be able to isolate this sickness or isolate such cases for urgent treatment and attention. So definitely early disease detection in the pig farm will prevent outbreak within the herd. And lastly, it would promote sustainable pig production. And I think the whole idea of a sustainable pig production is to be able to manage your farm in such a way that you cater for the present without compromising the future, which in a practical sense you are able to reduce cases of loss. Okay, you are able to reduce cases of loss which are occasioned by mortality in the farm. So if you are able to detect disease in your farm, you are able to reduce any cases of mortality. Practically most of the cases of mortality in the farm are cases that could have been dealt with if the farmer is able to identify the sick animal and provide treatment immediately. Okay, so that's all about the importance of early disease detection in the pig farm. We would look at the visual strategies, and when we talk about visual strategies, we're talking about the ability for you to use your eye, okay, to detect some symptoms or signs that an animal is sick. So there are about 8 visual strategies, but we'll quickly go through about 6 or 7 of them. The first is inaptitude, lethargy, shivering, weight loss, discharges, skin, respiration, and then of course sudden death. So let's look at what each of these strategies or each of this implies. We'll look at inappetence, and inappetence simply means a lack of appetite. So typically pigs are social animals, and they tend to eat in groups. Okay, so when you go to your farm in the morning of the pen where you have a sick animal, and it's time to feed, and all the animals cluster around the feed, and then you have one animal that is away from that particular feed, it is a clear sign that the animal is not okay at that point in time, in which case you need to do further investigation to determine what is wrong with the animal. So we look at inhabitants and we say that failure to eat or a drop in feed intake is an indication that something is wrong. So two things can happen. The animal might not eat at all, or the animal may not finish their feed allocation. And if you ration your feed and you've gauged the animal's appetite, and then suddenly there's a drop in feed intake, then this is a red flag that you should investigate to determine if something is really wrong with the animal. All right. And then the second one is lethargy. So lethargy simply means weakness, in which case the animal is weak, the animal is reluctant to stand or move, okay, when it is normally comfortable doing so. So you get to your pen and you see the animal resting in a corner. The animal is not standing, even when you try to raise the animal up. The boa or the gilt or whatever doesn't want to get up, okay, then it's a sign that something is definitely wrong with the animal. Or even when the animal attempts to get up, it just wants to rest in a sitting position. So of course this could be an indication of illness or leg weakness or lameness. So most times, if you let's say for example you introduce another pig into a different group of pigs, maybe over the night they might have been aggressive towards that pig. The next morning when you get there, you might see that pig in the corner of the pen. Of course, as a result of the pain sustained by the aggression of other pen mates, the animal might not be willing to stand. Okay, the animal might be too weak to stand. So this is a clear sign that something is wrong. Failure to attend to it, probably to isolate that animal at that point in time, may lead to another more severe condition. So you want to look out for this. Alright, so we look at the next part, shivering. So typically this usually happens with smaller piglets. Okay, you see it's the cause of death when the temperature drops too low, and then the animals tend to cluster themselves together. Okay, in other cases you go and you see the piglet or the winner shivering, you see the hair all over the body being raised. It's an important clinical sign of disease. Okay, and then also you can see a pig laid on its belly and shivering with its hair up and away from the group. Like I said, pigs are social animals. They tend to do things together. So one of the pointer that the animal is not feeling fine is when the animal is away from the group. So the animal is away from the group and the animal is even shivering. So this shows you that truly something is really wrong with the animal. For piglets that usually experience things like shivering, is of course they need a warm pen temperature. So the usual advice we give to farmers is when you have newborn piglets, you need to provide some kind of wood shaving and provide some kind of heat source over the night so that the animals actually feel better. The next visual strategy is weight loss, and this is actually common. When the animal starts losing body weight, it's usually the first indication of disease. And then, if you look at weight loss, it's coming from inappetence, that's lack of appetite. So, if the animal is not eating well, the next obvious sign is that the animal is going to shed weight. So, weight loss is an important visual strategy that you should look out for. So, of course, we have body condition scoring. Usually we do this with sow, but if you're familiar with your animals in terms of their how they look, okay, in terms of their weights, and then suddenly you see one of your animals starts shrinking in weight, start losing weight, then it's a sign that something is wrong. You see the spine, the hip bone, and other part of the body, the bones start coming out, then it's a clear sign that something is definitely wrong, that you actually want to intervene. So weight loss is an important way of looking at or identifying a sick animal. Now, we have discharges. Um, so you can find in some animals that are sick fluid coming out from their nose or from their eyes. Okay, this can be a sign of respiratory infection. Okay, you can also find some in cases you see excess salivation from the mouth. Its excess there is underlined because for boas, when they are stimulated by the presence of a gute or sow, they usually salivate. But then, if the animal is just on its own, okay, nothing, there's no stimuli, there's no external stimuli, and then the animal is salivating from the mouth, it is a sign that there's something wrong with the animal. Alright, so you actually want to get vet attention to determine exactly what is wrong with the animal and the kind of treatment needed. Of course, in sows, you might find certain discharges from the sow, and this could be linked with maybe cystitis or other reproductive sicknesses or disorder. So when you discover discharges that are not normal from any part of the animal's orifice, then it is a clear sign that something is definitely wrong with the animal. Okay, so we look at skin, and skin is actually very important in terms of identifying what is wrong with the animal, in terms of identifying sickness or disease. So typically you can see signs of rashes or signs of mange. Okay, this shows you that you probably need to deworm the animal, okay, or treat the animal for worms. Okay, so that one is actually quite obvious. And then sometimes you can see sudden changes in the animal's skin color. The animal might suddenly get reddish, and when you see signs like this, okay, it may lead to something more serious like African swine fever. So you want to be able to look out for this and immediately isolate such sick animals. So sudden changes of skin color to red may indicate certain virus infections. All right, and then we'll look at respiration rates. Because one of the common problems a lot of farms face are issues of respiratory diseases. Okay, and if you are not alive to detecting these symptoms on time, it can spread quickly within the head and even lead to sudden death. So you want to be able to assess if the animal is breathing normal, okay, or the animal is having labored breathing, which is of course indicative of pain. So you want to spend some time and observe their breath. If possible, you also want to go around the pen in the night. If you are not available in the farm at night, whoever is there, your attendant or your farm manager, you want him to go around the pen in the night to be able to check for signs of coughing, because most times animals that have things like respiratory infections, it tends to manifest in the night. They tend to struggle in the night. They have a cough a lot, so you want to go around the farm at night to check for signs of coughing and labored breathing. Okay, so lastly we'll look at feces. Feces is you look out for watery stool. Most times when you have piglets that are scarring, the immediate sign of scarring in piglets are watery stool. You also want to look at signs of blood or mucus that could be indicative of swine dysentery and other salmonella infections. So feces are a clear pointer, and most times even with feces, okay, there are conditions where the animal is even unable to even pass out feces. So not just looking for the signs in the feces, you want to be able to check if the animal has actually passed out feces. It's important that the animal pass out feces regularly after eating. Okay, so if it doesn't happen, then that means maybe it's constipation or there's something wrong with the animal, and you want to be able to be on top of that situation. So these are visual strategies that you actually need to look out for. Now the next strategy is a tactile strategy. So the tactile strategy simply involves feeling or handling a sick pig. Okay, it's not just about seeing or using your eyes to detect where there's sickness. You actually want to be able to feel the animal, handle the animal, and while you are doing this is of course you want to check for a rise in body temperature. So typically, just like human beings when they are sick, they usually experience rise in body temperature. With pigs also, when they are sick, they can have the body temperature can rise. So you actually want to be able to look out for this. Also, if the animal is injured, maybe during a fight or lands awkwardly in the pen, or maybe the pen floor is not that smooth, or the animal slips. You actually want to feel the limbs, look out for swellings, and to be able to determine exactly what is wrong with the animal. Also, for newly farrowed sows, you actually want to be able to detect early cases of MMA. MMA meaning mastitis, mastitis, and agalactia. So sows that are having mastitis when they just farrow, their teeth typically used to be very stiff and they are not producing milk. So one of the important things when your animal farrows, your sow farrows, is you actually want to check that she's producing milk. But if you feel the teeth and it's stiff and there's no colostrum milk coming out from the teeth, then it's a sign that you need to treat for mastitis. So that's the importance of adopting the tactile strategy for disease detection in the farm. And then you also have the auditory strategy for disease detection in the farm. This of course proceeds from listening. You have to listen, okay, just like when we talk about respiratory infection. So outside of that, you want to be able to listen and check what exactly is wrong with the animal. You want to listen to their breath, okay, you want to listen to squeals in the pen. These are some of the signs that will determine that, look, there's something wrong inside the farm. Okay, so this isn't a very long course. We've come to this. So Matthews, Miller, Clapp, Plotz, and Kiriazakis in 2016 simulated some of the health and welfare challenges of pigs. So with feeding, which is a behavioral category, with feeding, when the animal is sick, you discover the animal reduces the feed intake. There's a change in pattern of intake of both water and feed. Okay, and then urinary frequency. It is either it is too much or the animal doesn't urinate regularly. The animal defecates watery stool or doesn't defecate at all. So you want to be able to look at certain specific behaviors associated with a behavioral category. Okay, for instance, you have posture and locomotion, which is how the animal is able to walk, sit, lie, and then how the animal is able to move. So with regards posture and locomotion, if the animal is not walking or if the animal is walking awkwardly, it's a sign that something is wrong with the animal. If the animal is sitting for a long period of time without getting up, despite external stimuli to stand up, then something is wrong with the animal. Or if the animal is even dog sitting, just sitting on their hind legs, then it's a sign that something is wrong with the animal. Or the animal is lying down on the side for a long period of time, then it's a definite sign that there's something wrong with the animal. And then you look at social behavior, okay, and this refers to how the animal is interacting with their pen mates. So like I said in the earlier part of this lesson, if the animal is away from the pen mates, the animal is keeping to themselves, okay, then of course this is a clear sign that something is wrong with the animal. Okay, so like I said, pigs are they are social animals, and you actually want to ensure that they do things together. So there's these specific behaviors. Coughing is a red flag. Protracted coughing is a red flag. Scratching, okay, so when you have things like skin problems like mange, and other worm related infections, you will see the animal scratching their body on the walls of the pen and trying to relieve that pressure. So what happens when you discover some of these problems? Because I usually advise farmers to always get veterinary attention. The do it yourself strategy is good only as far as you are able to detect disease on the farm, but in terms of knowing the kind of drugs to administer and all of that, it is best you get experts attention for that. So what can you do on your own? You can isolate the sick animal immediately. You can isolate the sick animal immediately. It is important. Of course, you have to contact your vet for immediate attention. You need to also boost the quality of feed during treatment. Okay, so let's say your vet comes and administers drug. You actually want to improve the quality of the feed, okay, and also the quantity when the animal starts responding to feed. And of course, you have to ensure that whatever feed you are giving to the animal is fresh. Oftentimes, you may just want to get a little bit of vegetables to give to the animal. And sometimes the animal does not respond to what they have been eating previously, so you want to maybe change feed, you want to give them something fresh, and also you want to ensure that there is access to water at all times. So this is an important recommendation for you when you are dealing with that. Alright, so we've come to the end of this webinar. I want to thank you. If you want to reach out to me, you can send me a mail at victor.ayo@livestockafrica.com, or you can simply WhatsApp me. The phone number is on the screen, 08132166038. If you're sending a message from outside the country, don't forget to put the Nigerian short code, which is +234. You can also get more information on how you can detect, prevent, and treat animals, your pigs, by buying my handbook. It's in an ePDF version, the Pig Disease Handbook. So if you want to get access to the Pig Disease Handbook, you can simply send me a WhatsApp message, and I will respond to you. Okay, so just like I said at the beginning, you can always get instructional videos like this on how you can manage a pig farm, but all you need to do, support us by subscribing to this channel, liking this video, sharing this video to groups that you belong to, okay, and turn on your notifications so you can get instant alert whenever a video drops. Alright, so for now, goodbye.